It's time to run 10 junk miles together.
10 junk miles.
10 junk miles.
Junk miles.
Hey everybody, let's run 10 junk miles together.
Yay.
Well, we're back again with Katerina Claiborne,
Hey.
Cory Feign,
The record's 16 minutes running up.
What?
via Skype, half-assed Aaron German. Hello?
Yeah.
We didn't hear you.
Hi, this is Aaron.
What are you eating, Aaron?
Power gels from Power Gels.
What?
This is what happens when we don't play the music before we start. We have like a really bad start going now.
Aaron's eating power gels, though. It's all good.
Yuck.
Can we
Hope
do
to be
it?
sponsored by them.
Can we do it again with the music?
But like as a snack,
Let's do it
not
with music.
Or as part of his dinner.
This was a really bad start. People have been waiting for 3 weeks and they're getting this piece of shit.
I think that's what makes it good.
Yeah, I guess the bad's what makes it good.
They're fast forwarding right now.
So this episode is brought to you by Power Gels, which Aaron has stuffed into his mouth. And who eats Power Gels
What is that
still?
even? Is that an actual product?
Yeah, I'm actually eating truffled summer sausage.
Oh, so it's not,
What?
So it's not Power Gels at all.
So you just lied.
Like, they're not going to sponsor me.
Well, they're not going to sponsor you if you're eating truffled sausage
So what
instead of Power
Scott said
Gels.
is not too far off.
No. Aaron, why are you in Boulder and not here?
I was out here for like a wedding, and I just decided to stay longer because it's awesome.
I
It's fun
thought
to run on the
your
trails.
wedding was in San Francisco.
I was in two weddings. My brother's wedding was in San Francisco, and then I was here for a friend's wedding in Estes Park,
And then
just like 45 minutes from Boulder.
instead of coming home, you just stayed there.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to do at home except for run on those crappy
Lakefront.
paths along the lake.
So we hooked you up with some ultra mountain trail running people, and you've
Yeah,
been
I think it's the Rocky Mountain Runners.
and you ran with them today for the first time.
I ran with them last night.
And what did you guys do?
We ran up Green Mountain in the Flatirons, just off of Baseline Road in Boulder. And it's like a 7-mile loop, and you climb like 3,000 feet, and then you come back down 3,000 feet. And running up, I was kind of like with the fast grit guys. I was wheezing, and then I was dying. And then running down, I was at the very back end, the slowest people that were there.
How did that feel for a change?
Those people are like fucking mountain goats running down these mountains. I mean, it's incredible. I'm like, actually, the day before I hiked the whole thing, and I hiked it in like 3.5 hours, and we ran the whole thing in like an hour and a half.
So now that you're out there, now that you're meeting people and running, are you thinking about doing a trail and ultra race out there?
Still not till next year,
Yeah.
but it certainly is fun. I ran like an 11 miles with the trails. I just got back about 20 minutes ago here around my aunt's house, the Sanita Mountain Trail, and it's only 1.3 miles up, but you climb like 1,300 feet, and then you come back down the backside, and then I went back up again. Anyway, I did like 3,000 feet uphill. So whatever is that? Do you guys count that as 6,000 feet because you come back down too?
We don't count it down at all. Nobody gives a shit about that.
Nobody counts that.
No.
I thought you guys counted that. I don't know.
No, that's when you hear people talk about total elevation change, which is just
okay.
totally useless bullshit. All we care about is the running up.
Well, this was like 23, 24 elevation gain today, 11 miles.
But how do we know that you really did that and you're not just making this up?
You got Strava?
No,
I mean,
he doesn't have the Strava, even though he has a Garmin watch.
If it's not on Strava, it didn't happen, right?
That's what the motto is, right?
That's you guys is buying into the Strava. You know,
Does he not own a computer?
He has a computer and he has a
I
watch.
have it. It's all like Connect powered by Garmin.
I bet you Rocky Mountain Runners actually has a Strava group, kind of like the 10 Junk Miles Strava group, right?
They might. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, eventually we'll have to get him on the Strava. Or we'll just have to always believe that he's doing all these awesome
So your
things.
shins are all better, Aaron?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, good.
I didn't run until I got out here to Colorado.
It just took some rest. That's it.
I just took a full month off. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you have to acclimate when you got there?
Yeah. I mean, the first, I'm not here for about 2 weeks. The first few days, I just ran like on the roads, just because it's flatter, and I couldn't breathe. And then I was up in Estes Park and Rocky Mountain National Park, and I did like what's it called, the Lumpy Ridge Trail. It's like 10 miles around. It's pretty awesome. And then in Rocky Mountain National Park, I ran up at the George's Glacier Sky Pond Trail, where you go up to about 11,500 feet. At the top, you have to like climb in the snow, hand over fist, and then you like climb up a waterfall, and then come back down. You have to slide down on your butt for about 50 yards, very similar to like at the Frozen Gnome. Only that's Frozen Gnome's like what, 10 feet. This was gigantic. But everything felt good.
That's awesome. Kat, what have you been up to? How was your Black Hills 100 that you were going to?
I barely want to talk about it.
You got to talk about it. The people want to hear about it.
What happened?
I got super sick. I don't know if I ate something or I had a stomach virus, but I woke up on last Monday morning. The race was on Friday. So I woke up on Monday morning just like horribly sick and didn't get better on Tuesday and didn't get better on Wednesday. High fever, bad stuff coming out of me. And I couldn't take the trip. It was really devastating. It's funny because I know Cory's had a lot of the DNSs and we've joked about it. And I thought about that a lot. Like I do not understand. I was in tears. I really was depressed and devastated by it. And I'm not quite over it.
Sorry to hear that. How's your shin?
My legs feel fine. I did the same thing as you. I just took time off. And so I was feeling like I was going to go to Black Hills with this nice rest leading into the race and just was so excited about it. And
what kind of was it like? Was it like you were super tired and you were like snotty and stuff?
No. I had 103 fever for 2 days, and then the other 2 days I had 102, and my stomach couldn't hold anything in. It was horrible. Yeah, it sucked. Yeah, so I sat at home and watched all my friends have a great time out there.
Well, that's not completely true. In terms of race coverage, the Black Hills 100 might be the worst ever. So we had no idea what was happening most of the time.
You might be thankful.
Anyway, I it's just a depressing situation because I really only signed up for a select few races, and to have my summer one of all, I love running in the warm temperatures and I like the heat. It was a new place that I was going to go to. It just sucks, but
so what
I guess I have to move on.
Are you going to add a race to make up for that? Or?
I'm thinking about it. Possibly find something in the middle of August. I was looking at the Marquette race, but the 50s sold out. I don't know. We'll see.
And what about 100? You're going to add another 100?
Isn't there a race in Colorado at that time? Like
I'm thinking. Well, I don't have the money to travel, so it has to be something that I can get to by car. I'm thinking about possibly adding another 100-miler in the fall. Ozarks is one that's always interested me, and so that might be something that I'll do. We'll see.
Cory, what have you been up to?
Not much.
Don't you have like a 200-mile race coming up pretty soon?
I do in 2 weeks. Last weekend, what weekend? The weekend before this one, I was in Colorado. Did Mount Albert. Oh, we don't have the beeps.
You gotta have the fucking beeps. What are you doing?
And also ran where Aaron is in Boulder, in the Flatirons.
What trails did you do?
Oh, I don't know. I just went to the park and tried to find my way to the top and did.
Did you go to like the Royal Arch or the top of Mount Green or Bear Mountain?
I think I crossed Royal Arch. I was up near in between the first and second Flatiron. I don't know. It was a quick run though. We were trying to get out of there, so we only had like an hour and a half. Yeah. So I had to get up and get down. But I do love it there.
So we're really not gonna have any beeps?
No, we really don't have any beeps.
Are you gonna put the beeps in later?
Yeah. I'll put them in later.
The people have spoken, and they like
People
the
like the
beeps.
beeps?
Just not the super loud beeps. They don't like those.
That was about 10 minutes. Beep.
All right. No, it's about 14:30.
Oh, Scott, you didn't. No. That was. We had to.
That's like an ultra runner 10 minutes. Who
Yeah.
cares? We're on like 3-4
We
minutes.
bonked on that on segment 1.
What about you, Scott?
I have been training, getting ready. This week I want to have a really big week, and next week I'm going to do another big week and do the Crimea River 50. One more big week after that, and then I'll start shutting it down for the Angeles Crest 100, which I've been scared about.
So that's 4 weeks, 4 plus?
That's 4 weeks away, 5 weeks away.
Nice.
And I've been looking at the maps and thinking about the cutoffs and looking at the climbs and talking to Katerina about it because she's coming out there to pace me. I booked a cabin. I booked us some nice rooms at the Westin. Real exciting stuff.
Whoa, that's fancy. They got good cable there.
Westin in
HBO and stuff.
Pasadena, and we got a nice car and everything. But, and every once in a while I start freaking out and I'm thinking, there's no way I'm going to finish this race. I'm totally fucked. And then I think about the fact that Cory has the Colorado 200 in 2 weeks. And I feel better all of a sudden. I don't know what it is. And I've also been reading this awesome book that we're going to talk about later in the episode, Run Gently Out There. That's our book club book for those people that are following along and reading with us. Aaron, did you read your book this week?
Did I?
Yeah, the book club book.
They don't let you read books in Colorado. You're only supposed to be running and sleeping out here.
So you didn't read the book?
No.
You're missing out. This might have been the best book I've ever read about running, period.
Really?
Yes.
Scott's read a lot of running
And I've
books.
I've read a shit ton of running books.
You probably have read a half dozen, yeah?
I did read Born to Run.
Yeah.
And I did read Eat and Run by Scott Jurek. So,
Yep. And the other one that I read.
Wow, Ultramarathon Man.
Yeah.
That's another podcast we should put on our list of things that we're gonna. Oh, you know what? We should ask our author what the next book's gonna be.
Oh, we should.
Yeah. All right. So you didn't read the book. You're not here.
No.
We don't have any food this week.
Perfect.
It's like we're riding the toilet here. Have you tried Two Toms, the lubricant material that we've been using?
Have I tried it?
Yeah.
No, I don't need it.
The anti-chafage.
What do you mean you
I don't
don't?
chafe.
You're not chafing anymore?
What?
I don't either.
Yeah. All right.
That doesn't make sense.
Well,
What do you mean?
How do you not shave?
I
If you
just
have,
don't.
like-
I don't ever
Probably
use
doesn't
any.
have any fat.
No,
Yeah,
but
I
like,
do.
even like on my back, like if I put something in my back pocket and I get sweaty, like that'll just kind of rub around a little bit and it'll shave.
backpack
No.
never shaves?
Nope.
No?
Very rarely.
We have
Lucky.
smooth, silky skin apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Cory are chafe kings. All right, well, let's read some comments this week. We have a couple iTunes comments to read. I think I might have read this. We'll do 3 of them. Easily my favorite running podcast, 5 stars. Who knew that my favorite trail ultra podcast would come from Flatlander territory? I live in Hudson, Wisconsin. This is from Joe Heavy Flow. That's the name. I live in Hudson, Wisconsin, on the Minnesota border, and I am
Is
training.
this Josephine?
No,
I was gonna say there's
Joe
another guy.
Heavy Flow. I live in Hudson, Wisconsin, on the Minnesota border, and I am training for the Wild Duluth 50K, my first ever race.
Cool.
Their sense of humor leaves me literally laughing out loud on the trail. Sorry that we've been letting you down so far this episode. And feeling like a complete wiener, or at least a can of Vienna sausages. That's a reference to something we talked about. My only complaint is that it's not weekly. I know I'm high maintenance. And that I can't hang out with the crew on a regular basis. They're my kind of crowd. However, their Strava running group is a blast, Aaron. And it helps me feel even more like they're part of my regular running buddies of mine. Hopefully I'll run into them during some races. One of my goals is a Superior 100, which
Yay.
Katerina's doing and today's guest Tony is doing. And I know there are fans of the race in the group. Happy trails. Great review. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Next review by
Is that your mom that wrote that?
No. I think my mom wrote the next one.
She's in Wisconsin.
eDog2357 writes, "What's wrong with that Coomer guy? Podcast is great. Kate is supportive." That must be you, Kat.
Yeah.
And has a great outlook. Aaron is funny. And Cory always has something interesting to add to the conversation.
That sounds like you just needed to throw some bullshit in about Cory. Go ahead.
But I really think
I
you
think
should.
Aaron wrote this one.
But I really think you should think about getting rid of that Coomer guy as your moderator. And when did I become the moderator?
I like that.
Is there something, and then something is spelled SOMTHING, so I'm just wrong with him. Or maybe I should just ask, what is wrong with him? What is wrong with him?
Wrong with him.
Yeah,
we could have a segment where we discuss what's wrong with him.
Do you have a lot of that time?
That might be a whole show.
I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry, E-Dog. I'm probably here to stay, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, all the equipment's at your house.
Yeah, but it's Cory's equipment. Cory's moving to Colorado now, so we're totally
Yeah.
screwed. Okay, one more. Laughing Out Loud, Running Fun by LVLW. Sorry. You'd think I could spell it. It's 4 letters.
More editing.
These podcasts are laugh out loud, running down the road fun. Love the Midwest vibe. They must be talking about your accent.
That's what I was thinking too.
2. 5 stars. And I want to point out that the guy that hates me, he gave us 4 stars. So that's
If you get rid of Scotty, you get 5 from that guy.
yeah.
Oh, something to think about.
That's the difference. All right, so that's where we're at. And the other thing that we need to do is Kat's Kudos. Are you ready with the kudos?
I have a kudo.
Oh, she had a big smile on her face when I said that, too. She was ready.
Okay.
That sounds like the only thing that's made her smile all week was that kudos. Right
It is kind of true. It's been a sad, sad week. Lots of crying. No, I really, really did cry. But now I'm smiling because...
I mean, this could be a great situation to teach your children like a life lesson about being disappointed.
They were disappointed because she didn't go to the race, though.
No, they did sort of fall to their knees wailing when I said I'm not going. They were really sad. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good, you know what though? That means that they have sympathy and empathy or whatever or something, right? Isn't that like a good thing? For kids to have?
Sure,
I don't know.
yeah.
You tell me.
I don't know. I'm just trying to recover and eat again.
They felt bad for you.
Yeah. So, no, that's true. Okay, so Kat's kudos on a happier note. There's a woman named Tony Metcalf who's in the Strava group. And on Monday, she ran 22 miles. And to me, at a really reasonable pace. She was on the trails and she was at a 9:47 pace. To me, it's a really good run. She ran in Heckfall Woods, and she says it was amazing and I loved it. And from what I can tell, Heckfall Woods is in the UK. It looks like it's in Dales National Park. She said it all in her description. She wrote, amazing run. I got goosebumps a lot with just sheer joy of running. There was quite a lot of technical trail in the woods, but it was frickin' brilliant. Wish my running buds were with me to share it. Got stung in the mouth, covered in nettle stings, got my new shoes dirty, feeling absolutely blissfully happy. And from her pictures, it looks like it was a really varied trail. There was a little bit of everything. There was single track. She had views of some pretty lakes, some really rooty technical trails, and just looks like she had a great time and got in a ton of miles, and just to me represents what awesome trail running can be. So good job, Tony.
Nice job. And if you want us to talk about your Strava run, I don't know if she did this, but you can put hashtag 10junkmiles on your run on Strava. You can join our Strava group. There's 61 members in our Strava group. That's crazy. I can't even believe that.
How many?
61.
And it's so fun to see where everyone is because people are like all over the world.
Erin's never even seen Strava. So
Yeah.
you can't even imagine what we're talking about.
Well, it shows a map
Yeah.
of their run, and this woman posted like 7 or 8 pictures of her run.
Yeah, and if you're on your run and you take a picture, it'll put it like in the, so it would be like Erin's, Mount Green Summit, and it'll show all of the.
If you really did that.
Yeah, if you did it, if you really did it, and then it'll show the, the up and down, and it'll show the topography. You can take pictures, and then if other people are with you, they're going to be. It'll say Erin and 7 other people ran up and down Mount Green. That's kind of fun. Last week in our Strava group, Fred McDonald won the mileage with 79.6 miles. Total running time 14 hours, and the climbing was won by Dave Caldwell with 7,425 feet of climb, which Erin I think beat in the last 24 hours. So you'd be crushing everyone in the altitude.
In the elevation, yeah.
In the elevation.
It's not that hard.
Yeah. Well, Strava, you need it. All right. Next, we're going to move to our interview today. The most unlikely person ever to come on the 10 Junk Miles. Someone who used to constantly tell me how podcasts are stupid and doesn't know why people listen to them. So,
wish I was there.
So we're very excited to bring Tony Cesario. Welcome to the show, Tony.
Yay, Tony.
Hey, thanks.
Tony is...
I'm with you. Podcasts are dumb.
Yeah, Cory doesn't listen to podcasts either. Tony's kind of like a running institution. You know, he's the guy that when I think about who I've learned running from, who I've spent time with, it's always Tony. Tony runs a lot, and he's a big part of the running community, even though he doesn't like to throw his weight around and talk too much. So it's going to be kind of hard to get him to share his experiences with us today. But Tony, you grew up here in Chicago?
I grew up here in Chicago by Midway Airport area.
And you were running in high school? That's when you got your start?
I was running cross country in high school for my 3-4 years, and then also in college.
So like when we go run, we all go run at Palos, which is this big park south of here. And that's a park that you've been running at all your life, right?
Yeah, our coach would take us on weekends in his own personal van and take us out to Palos Park and either run Swallow Cliff or Bullfrog.
And what years are you talking about?
I started high school in 1978, and we would meet at Pulaski Woods. That's at the top of the Bullfrog, where you up the green grass hill. That's where we actually started from, and we wouldn't do necessarily loops like you guys do today at Swallow Cliff or at Bullfrog. We would actually have a path that we would follow, and all these forks in the path, and sometimes take the road when the path ended.
And were you a good runner in high school?
Yeah, in high school I thought I was okay. My frost off year I was doing 10s for a 2-mile race, and my junior year I was doing 16s for my 3-mile race. Even though that sounds slow, it's still like 5:40 pace.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in 1978 though, they didn't really have very like accurate clocks and things. Right?
They still had the fast guys, like at State. I think some guy was finishing in the 14s at State. So you always had those guys out there.
And then you ran.
I mean, it was always just like one of those big boards. It was like a big hands on a clock thing, though. Yeah, it wasn't like digital or anything.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny is
this was 1978, not 1878.
Yeah. What's funny is Matt Condren ran in the same park for state meet that I ran in when he was in high school. Because he's from the Peoria area. I didn't know that originally.
And then you ran your first marathon when you were still in high school, right?
Yeah. What we did is we had a small team for cross country, so everybody in cross country naturally went into track, and we to stay in shape. And then after track season, the entire team did their marathon, and our first marathon was in Terre Haute, Indiana. It was around some state prison down there. All road. Terre Haute, yeah. All road. I guess aid stations might have been every couple of miles, but that's just water and Gatorade, and you still ran in those cotton shorts.
So what year is this?
1979.
They didn't have Gatorade in 1979, right? When did Gatorade come out?
Yeah, they had it there. In fact, what's funny is, funny you mentioned that, because everybody brings their water bottle when we run at Swallow Cliff, and I don't, because we never did in high school. In fact, during our high school run, the big deal was that the coach brought Kool-Aid for after we were done with our run.
Yum.
So we were drinking little Dixie cups after our run with Kool-Aid.
What flavor?
It was usually cherry red.
Oh, the best.
I like how he covered both the flavor and the color, cherry.
Well, it was red. I remember that. So yeah.
Was it sort of thought of back then that if you drank water or something, it would give you cramps in your stomach or something?
Well, the other thing is, unlike today, most people don't realize this. Unlike today, back then all the pumps worked.
Oh, the water pumps at the park you're talking about.
Yeah, they might have not have been perfectly clear water, but it was cold. Whereas now they took them all out.
So did you get into marathoning and were you like a marathon runner for a while, or was this marathon just something you did once in a while?
I ran my first one in 79, and then I ran the next one in 1980, and then while I was on the team still, and then I think I ran like 6 more, and they were only like a couple months apart. And then I ended up doing. I saw an ultra being listed, and I figured I'd give it a try.
So, like, what year is this?
1981 was
Where did you see that? Where did you see?
Yeah, where would you even see that in 1981?
Like on the Jewel, you could like tear off a little thing. Like,
it's not too far off from that because the only places that races were listed were either in the back of Runner's World or in newspapers. So you had to cut out the newspaper clipping to say, I want to run this race and send your check and postcard. So I remember I ran that Ultra in Chicago. It wasn't part of the one that's on there now. It was the AMJA Ultra 50 mile or 100K. And
on the roads?
It was on the lakefront. It was from the boathouse to Foster Avenue and back 5 times. And I still have the listings, the printout from the finishing times from the results of the race. I actually went through there and I recognized the name from today. I don't know if I can say that person's name, but
Carol
as long as you
Landeros?
say you have
Carol Landeros, yeah.
That's what I thought.
And
yeah.
she ran that
She's
same.
not going to sue us. Carol, don't sue us.
She ran that same race, and I was like, wow, that's actually somebody I knew. And then I think it was 2 weeks later, I ended up running another one in Normal, Illinois. It was just a 50K, but it was just something different.
How many folks were at these events running?
There weren't a lot. I think at the lakefront there might have been about maybe 50 people, and the one in Normal, Illinois, maybe about 30 people.
No, was it the same? Go ahead.
Too
Man.
many kids were all playing Atari, and that's why they weren't running.
Wait, what did he say?
He asked if the kids were all playing Atari instead of running.
Yeah. In cross country in general, there weren't that many people running, and in these there were even less.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to ask. So, what were the ultras that you ran then? Were they the same as they are now? Like if I would have been at that first 50K that you went to, how would that have been different than say if I went to the Lakefront 50K today? Was there any differences?
No, that first 50 miler that I ran, it would have been more. It would have been about the same amount of hype, but it was a lot more low keyed because other stuff was going on the lakefront, and people would probably get annoyed with all these runners coming through. You still had your number, and obviously you didn't have all the gear. The only thing available, the only thing available at the aid stations was there was some light food, I remember, but there were no gels, there were no pills. I don't think there was. I think I ran it with my sweatshirts.
What do you still do today that is maybe back from that era? Like, are there certain habits that you have that are kind of old school that come from back in that time period?
No underwear?
Well, it's funny you say that, but I've had chafing since high school, so that's been a big issue.
Chafing.
What?
What did you say, Aaron?
I said 35 years of chafing.
Yeah, Tony talks about chafing
Tony
a lot,
ever wrote a
too.
book, it might be called 35 Years of Chafing.
Tony, tell us.
That's a good title.
It's chunky.
Why do you chafe so much?
Well, it's funny you say that, but it's true. I've chafed because the shorts in high school were all made of that heavy cotton, and you didn't start getting into the polyester shorts since I was in college, I guess. But I have big thighs, I guess, and they just rub together to the point of them bleeding. And I ended up going into the spandex shorts after my first 100K at Kettle. And the spandex shorts work great. I don't chafe there anymore, but it's added chafing other places.
Do you wear shorts over the spandex or just the spandex by itself?
I think the spandex by themselves are not for me.
Okay.
So I got to wear a shell because I guess I'm shy.
Do you think that's for anyone?
Yeah, can anyone wear spandex without shorts?
I guess if you're not shy, you can.
It's fine. It works for me great.
All right.
Aaron's a big fan of the spandex. Mandex, no shirt, right?
Yeah.
How many people on your
There was a
running...
guy bombing down the mountain today, just like that.
How many of the people you ran with today in Boulder were dressed that way?
That's what I'm saying. There was a guy that bombed down the mountain like that.
Right. Well, we got one. How many other ones, though?
There was just the one.
Out of how many?
I don't know. I didn't see that many people out running today. Maybe a half dozen.
Okay. All right. Back to Tony and his chafing. Have you tried the 2 Toms, by the way?
I have, but it feels okay, and it's good to have with me. I carry it with me as a secondary after I apply my regular stuff initially when the race starts. So when I start getting the chafing issue 50 miles in, I got to reapply.
See, and the one thing that and I guess you're going to tune out now, Kat, because you don't understand chafage at all. But the one thing that I've learned about chafage is that once it starts, it's really hard to put that genie back in the bottle.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't fix that on the trail.
That's yes and no. What I've tried to do is, and it happened at I think Kat might have witnessed this when she paced me at Kettle, is that we were 60 miles in, and I was chafing even though I had put stuff on, and I had an extra pair of shorts that I had brought with me in one of my drop bags, and the extra pair of shorts were regular shorts. They weren't spandex anymore. So I switched shorts out and I reapplied skin lube, and I was able to go the rest of the distance without any issue.
I remember that happening, although I wouldn't say I was a witness.
Well, right, you weren't a witness as me changing it, but I brought I actually had the shorts in the drop bags, anticipating that would come up.
Aaron actually witnessed me do a full short change, full body lube at the Kettle Morraine.
Nice.
It's like I think it was at the same place at mile 64. So
I was part of that.
yeah,
Like,
he didn't help with I think I leaned on him.
So, I think we all take for granted who Tony is and what he represents, but I think for the audience to get a sense of who we're talking about here, Tony, tell us all the races you've run so far this year.
I did a McNabb 50K in January. Then I did 3 days of Silamo.
Which is a 50K, 50 mile, 20K for the listener.
Yeah, then it was the Indiana 100, the Ice Age 50, and then
I think you left out the Zumbro.
the Zumbro I left out. That was out in April. Also.
Zumbro 100.
Zumbro 100, and then the Kettle 100, and then this Black Hills 50 apparently.
So we're in June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about
June 30th, you've run 500 miles worth of races.
Yeah. I don't know if I've run 500 miles this year.
How many miles have you run this year so far?
For this year, it's been about 1,900 miles up to this point.
Wow.
So usually I average just at 4,000 or under 4,000 a year.
And have you been keeping track of your mileage every year?
I've been keeping track of my mileage since year 2000.
And since the year 2000, how many miles have you run?
I've got about 36,000 miles.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's a lot of shoes, right?
And is this in like a notebook with a pencil? And
It's on a spreadsheet, broken down by year, broken down by month by month. And this way I can compare to last year, seeing if I was a slacker this year.
What's one of your biggest running accomplishments? What do you look back on and feel really proud of?
That's hard to say.
no finish, no race, I mean, there's nothing that you look back on. You're like, everything that you've done, what's the one thing that you felt most proud of yourself?
I think the 100 mile finishes are a source of pride. Just that it's finished. I think when I broke sub 24 in Indiana last year, that was a big deal. The fact that I finished Sawtooth, since I went back 4 times to try to get it, that was a big deal. And finishing Ozarks, because that was a hard race. I think you remember the harder races because you struggled through it and got it done.
What about the failures that you've had? Now, this weekend you tried to run a 100-mile race, and you didn't make it, right?
Right.
What happened?
Yeah, I could give a lot of excuses, but I just wasn't moving fast enough. And the trail itself, I mean, it was moderately difficult. It wasn't incredibly difficult. It was, you had a lot of ups and downs, and you had a lot of rocky areas. It wasn't rooty, but and you had stream crossings, which actually were okay because you got some relief from the heat. But it was just slow moving, and I wasn't moving fast enough to make time.
So you DNF'd at mile 50?
Yeah, I was.
You were cut off?
I was cut off an hour over the time, and and going into it, I knew I wasn't. As I was going to the finish, to the turnaround, I knew that I wasn't going to make time.
Now, Tony, you have to tell the listeners what happened to you. Like, was it 3 weeks ago?
No, it was actually April. It was May 12th actually.
Okay.
And I had run 4 races up to that point, and then 2 days after my 50 miler at Ice Age, I ended up having a stroke, and I've been on medicine since that point.
And they put something in your heart too, right?
Yeah, they put a loop recorder in my heart to measure if I go into an arrhythmia. But I think the medicine is messing with me.
Well, then 3 weeks later, you went and ran 100 miles after that.
Yeah, but I ran it slow.
You ran it faster than a lot of the other people in the race that didn't have a stroke, right?
Yeah, but as I was running out there, I knew I was running slow, and I felt bad for Cat being out there because, I was just going slow, and even though there was nothing
I was
really
pacing him.
there was nothing really hurting me. It's like every time I tried to start going, I would go, but then I would slow down and start walking again because I was tired.
I mean, it's you've been running, it sounds like, for about 39 years or something.
Yeah.
You must have been dealing with people asking you all of the time, how many miles are you running? Why do you run so much? So it's not that big of a surprise that you'd have a stroke and then 3 weeks later do a 100-mile race, is it?
Well, it'd be surprising that I've had a stroke in the first place because I didn't think I'd ever have one. So that was kind of a surprise to me.
Well, I mean, to put in perspective, Tony's sending me and Cap messages about his travel arrangements for his next 100-mile race while he's not just in the hospital, he's in the intensive care unit of the hospital being treated for having a stroke.
Yeah, but while I was in there, I felt fine. I was like, why all these people over me here? Because even though I'm in the ICU, I felt I could have just gone home at that point.
Well, let me ask you this, because this is a question.
Doctors are such bullshit, aren't they?
No, well,
yeah, he thinks doctors are bullshit. That's totally true.
I think they were being over careful and not knowing that, you run already as is.
I don't know that you can be over careful treating a guy that just had a stroke. I don't think that those two concepts.
And Tony, tell us about where you were when you suffered the stroke.
Well, that's interesting because.
Because Strava said where he was.
Yeah, see, I wore a watch, but I was running with a friend of mine, and from the other group by my house, and he only wanted to go 5 miles, so I said bye to him, and I continued, and I was going to go like another 5 miles or so, and I think I turned around at some point, and I was kind of getting upset at myself because I guess I wasn't feeling well at that point, and I was on the trail by my house, and I felt warm. For some reason, I went to the other side, to the left side of the trail, and that's at the point that I noticed I was going to go down, and that's when I went down. And what's interesting is I really haven't gone to that trail yet.
Oh.
Since that time, I
Is
haven't.
it superstition?
No, it's almost kind of a fear thing. I'm not sure why, but I still haven't gone there.
Whoa.
Even though I've been on that trail system since then, I haven't gone to that actual spot.
Do you want us to go out there with you and do like
Interesting.
a group run so you can?
Well, it's weird because it almost feels a little weird.
So you were by yourself then when that happened?
I was by myself, and what's funny is I still remember as I'm on the ground eating dirt. People are coming by me and says, "Hey, you need some help?" And I'm like, "No, I'm all right," because.
Sure, that's what usually happens when you fall on the trail. Yeah, I'm fine. You get back up.
Yeah, but what's weird is I didn't know that I had passed out, and I didn't know it at the time. But it felt like something was on my ribs, and what it was my arm was underneath me across my chest, and I didn't know that was it because it was numb. And as people are asking me stuff about, hey, can I get a doctor or an ambulance for you? I'm trying to respond to them, and then I know that I was responding to them. All slurry.
Probably telling him to fuck off, right?
No,
Yeah, I think when you described this to me before, you had this real irritated tone in your voice. I was telling him, like, I'm fine, I'm fine.
So it probably sounded like.
Yeah, in my head, I was telling them whatever.
Who has a conversation about a stroke and is just, like, making fun the whole time?
I guess that just happened.
I'm putting the Strava data on the Facebook page just so that everybody can see.
Yeah, because the medics get there and they're trying to ask me whatever, and they're asking me all these questions, and I'm trying to tell them I feel fine, but as I'm talking to them, I'm just slurring constantly, and they're telling me that my whole left side of my face is drooping, and I'm like, I didn't see that.
You were probably saying, stop my watch, it's recording.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they didn't stop your watch.
No, because if you look on Strava, that you can see him running along, and then all of a sudden he's doing like 1 minute miles in an ambulance to the hospital, and that's where his run ends. Tony. But 4 days later, you're back running again.
Yeah, and yeah, it was weird, but I noticed right away that right after that I just felt tired all the time. Even while I'm running, even while I was running with you guys in the woods, I could barely finish a loop without having to stop.
And how has that changed since then?
Well, I can run 20, 30 miles now, but I even noticed that during the race at Black Hills, I get tired a lot, and I think that's hopefully that's coming to an end because my medicine ended Friday.
Oh, you're thinking it was a side effect from the medicine.
Well, it said that on there because I looked it up. It's that for some reason they gave me cholesterol medicine, which is I'm not sure why, but they gave me that too, and that's the only medicine I was taking.
Well, here's what I think is interesting: is there's probably a lot of people out there that have had injuries, that have had illnesses, that have had, you name it. Things go wrong with us all the time, and I know people that have, minor injuries, and they shut it down, and they take, 6 weeks off because they pulled their hamstring or they have plantar fasciitis and things like this. And here you are with every excuse to just sit at home and, eat cheeseburgers on the couch, and you're back 10 times faster than you probably should be to go back running again, I think that's pretty awesome. The fact that you might not be able to do what you used to do right away, you could have a built-in excuse for not doing anything anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to get to that.
That kind of begs the question, what is running for you?
Oh, I think for one, it's independence. I don't want to be one of these guys. I don't want to offend anybody, but I don't want to be these guys that gets hurt and just, talks BS from that point forward on about what he used to do. Plus it's, I don't want to be on medicine forever either. Just like to be healthy and just go.
So what's the, tell the people out there that are having trouble knowing when they're hurt and when they're not hurt, when they should push, when they shouldn't push. How do we know that, how do you figure that out? How do you know that, how did you know it was time for you to go run again?
Well, I remember getting asked that question when it was cold out in the wintertime, and I said, well, in order for me to go to work, I have to take the train and then walk maybe a half a mile to 3/4 of a mile to my job, and then work. And I'm like, well, if I can walk to work, I should be able to go running that day. That's pretty much it.
So that's your standard. If you can walk to work, you should go run.
Sounds good.
Well, yeah. Unless you're on crutches. If you're not on crutches, you shouldn't. You can run slower.
Do you stretch?
I don't stretch. I just start my run a little slower, and then go.
Do you have a foam roller?
I have a foam roller that I've used for my butt. In order, yeah.
What are you doing with your butt?
I've got this. I've had this pain at the back of my butt for.
I think you're using it wrong.
For almost 2 years, and I try to stretch it out, and I try to use my weight on it. I think that's the most I've used, and maybe for my hamstrings, I've tried to use it only when they've been really tight.
What about cross training? Do you do any of that?
I bike.
How much do you bike?
Not a lot. I try to bike on weekends. My son bikes with me, and this other group that I run with, they also do some biking.
So, put into perspective, how many miles a week do you run? What's a normal week for Tony?
A normal week would be, prior to having a stroke, was about 70 miles, I think.
So that's like a baseline week.
That's pretty much of a baseline. I like to get my long runs in on the weekends, and I like to start doing the after-work long runs again.
Do you have any ultimate goal, ultimate dream run, something that you want to do, bucket list, something like that?
I don't have a bucket list because a lot of those, I see people talking about a lot of those goal races. I don't know, they just seem to be expensive for me.
I mean, I know this was the first year we talked you into putting your name in the Western States. You didn't want to be in that.
Yeah, and in retrospect, I'm glad it didn't work out for me because of that happening.
Oh,
but
the stroke.
yeah, but you try to budget money wise because I think this year I think I might have spent $3,000+ on just races.
So no, there's no race that's on your list that you really want to finish, or you really want to do.
I think that most of the races I like to go to are the races that a lot of the people in the group go to, because then it becomes a group run instead of a real race.
Yeah, I mean, I know that we're going to do the Bear together later on this year. I think that like we've done races with Kat where we all go travel together and hang out, and that, I mean, to me, I mean, there's people like if you gave me the money and said you could go, and fly out to all the places and go to the races and come back home again and tell everybody how it was, that's fine. But I think like half of the fun is like hanging out in the hotel the night before and then telling all the stories on the way back. And I mean, a 100-mile race is it's like a journey, and all these strange things happen on the journey. Part of the fun for me is when we all sit around, we all talk about what happened and what it was like, and go out to eat, and just the camaraderie of it. To me, that's the thing that really matters.
It's a lot of eating in your
There's always a lot of eating, and with Tony, just to refresh everybody's recollection, Tony is sort of in the same vein as our friend Amanda. Tony has a lot of things that he's very particular about. He knows what he likes, and we have to sometimes cater to
What's an example of that?
gel or paste.
What does that mean for our listeners?
So we went to a race, and then Tony forgot his toothpaste. He asked if he could use mine. This is a great story for radio.
It was funny.
And I said yes.
So Scott said, "Sure, here, Tony, have my toothpaste." And he took it, and then he made this face, like, "What have you just handed me?" And he did not approve of Scott's toothpaste because it was
paste.
You're in paste. You have to have gel.
I like gel. The paste is too chalky.
Aaron, do you have a preference, gel or paste?
I use the Sensodyne.
Yeah, but is it the gel version or is it pasty? There's Sensodyne is just a brand.
Listen, Tony, you're from a different generation.
Oh, wow.
Shorts and they use foam rollers for their butt.
Cat, gel or paste?
Don't care.
Corey, gel or paste?
Not even a thing I would have thought about.
I could use either. I don't really care.
But I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that do have a preference, and that's why they make both products.
We might have to start asking people. That'd be another thing that we ask.
Gel or paste.
That we asked guests, gel or paste.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one thing you touched on was case in point this past weekend at Black Hills. We went with a group, and it was a 20-hour ride. It was a 13-hour ride one way, and I think it was 20 hours on the way back because we made a lot of stops. But no, that was actually a fun time. It was like a mini vacation for us.
We saw a lot of pictures. We went to a lot of different places.
I saw some pictures.
So Kat's gonna cry now.
That's where I was going to be. Was in that caravan.
Did you see the Mount Rushmore?
We went to Mount Rushmore, and then we went to the Badlands.
What did you think of Mount Rushmore?
It was all right. It was cool to see. I've never seen it before. I've never gone there as a kid, so it was nice to see.
I always thought they were too small. Like
in person?
Yeah, like when I got there, my reaction was, I thought it'd be bigger.
I did actually think they would be bigger than what they were, because when you look up, they're like right in front of you. They're like, you think they would be overpowering.
Yeah, I think like every picture that's ever taken of Mount Rushmore is like from the ground looking up, you know. But
I mean, Tony, you probably saw North by Northwest when it came out in the theaters.
Yeah, I don't like those movies. It's a Hitchcock, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Hitchcock. There's a great scene where they're coming down the nose and no.
Yeah, Mike and I were joking about that we were going to try to get a picture of up Washington's nose, but it's sealed.
They sealed the nose.
Darn.
What about the Crazy Horse? Did you go to that?
We did not go to Crazy Horse. In fact, we were meandering around Rushmore, and then we went through the ice pick or something, the Needles Highway, where you're going through a mountain and there's rock formations that only one car can go through. That was kind of cool.
Nice. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm with you. That's part of the fun. You know, I mean, when I think about the Bear, I think about Chick-fil-A, and I think about hanging out in the hotel and doing all that fun stuff. So
Yeah, our last stop was at the Green Giant thing, Blue Mounds, or
I think everybody took a picture with that.
Yeah.
I saw like 100 pictures with that. What the hell was that? Just a big statue you stand
big
in?
statue. That's where it's from.
Of
Blue
what?
The
Statue of what?
the Jolly Green Giant
Oh.
with Little Sprout.
Wait, he's got a name?
The little guy's got a name. He's Little Sprout.
Oh.
Or
Wow.
might kept calling him Brussels sprouts, but I think the little guy is Little Sprout.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had a name.
All right, Tony, question. Who do you think would be a good guest on this show?
You know what's interesting? I think Matt Condren would actually be good on it because he seems to be one of the guys who's like up front, running wise, and he's still like a regular guy.
Yeah, he's been around the sport for a while too.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
and I don't think he'd be too full of himself. No, right?
Right?
No, he seems like a great guy.
All right. Well, let's move to the
Good one. That's the new beep sound right there. It's like a dying
we've
goat.
captured. Yeah, it sounded like you just hit a goat over the head. We're gonna do our book club, and this is the first book club of our podcast, and it's on the book "Run Gently Out There" by John Morelock. Now we're gonna have John Morelock on the show after this discussion, but before Mr. Morelock comes, let's be honest and let's talk about this book because I really loved reading this book and I thought it was a great book. Kat?
Totally agree. It was wonderful. Right off the bat, one of the first things that popped out to me was when he basically said we don't need an explanation for why we do what we do. That's the question you always get from people. Why would you want to run 100 miles? Why do you want to go running every day? And he says, I have never felt there was an adequate explanation for what we do. Not that I was able to come up with anyway. Generally, we can't even explain it to ourselves, to our inner self. And I just love that, and I thought that was a great start to the book, that we do this because we do it.
I want to back up and say
Okay.
one of the first things in the book is that he gives a Texas-sized thank you to Julie A. Stairs, my rival. And that piqued my interest right away that Julie A. Stairs was involved in this book. But I didn't know what to expect because I'd never heard of this book and I'd never heard of this guy. Because when we hear about books in the running, in the ultra running world, we hear about Born to Run, we hear about Ultra Marathon Man, Scott Jurek, Hal Kerner. They're all like elite, famous, high-profile runners. And I don't know anything. There's this picture of this kind of old guy standing out in the forest, and it's called Run Gently Out There. And from the beginning of this book, I was like, this is all of the shit that I always talk about, all the things that I think are important and that people don't realize. It's crazy how I felt completely in sync with this. One of the first things he says is, please don't put only in front of the distance that you run. You ran it. It's yours. Enjoy it. Don't apologize about it. Don't mention it in a hushed voice. And then he says, don't put words into describing your running that are driven by someone else's ego. And I think that we do so much talking about other people's egos. Like one thing about Kat that I think is interesting, people always talk about how she's going to be fast. She's going to finish this race. She's going to break 24 hours. She's going to be really competitive. And the only time that I ever saw you win, other than the beer mile, a race, you won because you were just having fun and it was a surprise. And I don't think you would have run any faster or slower if I told you that you were winning. I didn't get the impression that it gave you anything. You just enjoyed being out there running, And I think that that's one of the things that I think that I get out of this book is here's this guy who says, stop looking for easy answers. Stop looking for magic formulas. Stop looking for magic pills. Just go out in the forest and run and have a good time. That was kind of like the theme of this book and that everything that you need to learn about this sport, you learn out on the trails, running, trial and error, and having fun. That's kind of like what I took away from it.
Yeah, but I thought it was also cool that while he was comparing just going out there and running versus racing, he wasn't putting down either way of doing things. He's a competitive runner, or in his past he's won races, and is interested in times and pace and all that, but he also recognizes the value in just being a runner. So you can be a runner, you can be a racer. You can do both at different times and different periods in your life, and they can both be really cool ways of experiencing the trail. And he doesn't diminish either or, but he shows how they're both different. And I think a lot of us kind of fall into those categories of, do you tend to be a racer or a runner? And it's not bad or good, it's just different.
He actually has a whole chart in here.
Yeah.
Racers versus runners.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a really cool chart.
Yeah, it'll say like runners have been seen in cotton t-shirts. Racers have all that Super Nito logo stuff, you know? And then he kind of says at the end of all that, like, run your own plan. Stay within your realm. Don't feel bad if someone passes you. Don't chortle with glee if you pass someone. And we know people that chortle with glee about passing people, you know? Keep a sense of what you are about. Keep pressing on. Maybe it will be one of those good days when you pick it up and then keep on picking it up. You know, like, and I think about like Ice Age, you know, how I just enjoyed myself and I didn't worry about what place I was in. I didn't worry about being in front of people and actually did end up picking it up and going faster and feeling good. And then I remember there were some people that, like, I looked at them and said, oh, I could go and work hard and try and pass them. And I thought, well, that's not why I'm out here. I'm out here to have fun and do my best and accept my best, and whatever happens, happens, you know? And I think that's what I get the impression he's talking about, like, breaking 6 hours in the 50 mile. He was a fast dude, you know, back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I think that he just ran his own race, and that was it.
Looking back through the book, I highlighted, I think, more than 40 different passages, and really just covering a lot of the things that resonate with me for running. And this was one. I like to travel around and go to races and just kind of chat with people and get to know them. And one of the things I highlighted was, a person might share some words with a stranger along some trail new to both of them, and then months later and hundreds of miles away renew the conversation. And that's happened to me several times. I've made a lot of friends over the years of just people who I've chatted with here and there in one state, and then you see them at a different race at a different time. And I feel like it sort of highlights something about ultra running, which is that there's just this sense of camaraderie and just getting out there and just taking part in these experiences with people and sharing in them. And I feel like this book captured a lot of the essence of that.
Well, I think the shared experience, it's almost like, if you look at the point that I just read and you think about the shared experience, if I'm chortling with glee as I race past Katerina, I'm not sharing any experiences with her. You know, she's just someone that I'm using to measure my ego against, you know? Whereas, and I'm sure there are times and places where people leave people behind and things like that. But, you know, at the same vein, there are instances in which you might say, hey, I'm kind of struggling and you're kind of struggling. Why don't we just kind of struggle together and you just have fun? And if somebody runs past you, you don't care. I think if your whole mindset is, am I better than Kat or am I worse than Kat? And I don't want Kat to think that I'm slow and I want to pass her and I want to be better than her. You're not having fun and you're not sharing any experiences. So I thought that was interesting. And then some of his advice, it kind of reminds me of like Tony, kind of like old school, shut the fuck up and run, don't be stupid
totally.
type. There's this one paragraph, I underlined it. He says, on crewing, pacing, and hanging around, notes to someone about crewing and pacing. And he's talking about things that you can do to be better, or nighttime and things like that. And he says, do as many training runs together as you can, you and your pacer. Do as many night runs as you can. 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 You know?
And the advice is given, the thing that's cool about this book is when he's giving this advice about a night run, it's done within the context of a story that he's telling. It's not just like an instruction booklet. And it makes the advice more valuable.
Night run should begin at 10 p.m. and continue until 6 a.m.
Yeah,
it's nothing like that.
Right. I mean, and other people have given advice that's similar, you know, or say, you know, this is what you should do. But, I mean, and he even talks about those people and says there's people that'll show up and they'll say, you know, how many miles should I run before my first 50 or something like that? And he's like, well, you know, there's no easy answer to any of this stuff. Because that's something that we see a lot, like in the running group, like in the Flatlander group that we're in. you'll see someone join the group tomorrow, and then they'll post, "Hey, I signed up for my first 50K at the North Face. Do you have any advice for me?" And then they'll ignore what everybody says, and then we'll never hear from them again. Or, they'll stick around. But I mean, that happens an awful lot. People just want the easy answer. Here's how you run 50 miles on a trail in the forest. Well, who are you, and what's happening that day, and what's the day going to give you, and how are you going to be on that day? It's like one of the things that we said when we were talking about people DNFing at the Western States. Every race is different. You're different at every race, and the day you're having is different at every race. And today might be, easy peasy, and tomorrow might be a total nightmare,
And part of that for me is there's not like I didn't just like sign up to run a 50-mile race and figure out how that goes and then be done with it. That's sort of like the beginning of the process. You go out there and you learn, and maybe you'll do that same 50-mile race the next year, and that's going to be a different experience. Maybe you'll do it 10 years later, and that'll be a different experience. But there's no like, oh, well, I did it, and now I'm done with that thing. This is just like part of an overall the kind of thing that you're learning over years to do.
But I think what you point out is really important, Cory, and with with being a part of this ultra running culture, you can't just do one and walk away, because you do get immersed in it and you meet the people and you become a part of it. And I don't know anyone actually who just does one and then is like, okay, I'm done with that.
Well, there might be some of the people that go and have a really bad time and then just never come back.
I don't know anyone like that. Do you?
Because they didn't stick around to get to know you.
They're out of here.
Come on.
That's probably like 90% of people.
Right. Well, and think about it. If you don't know anyone and you're not immersed in the culture, going to a race and failing and then driving home alone, sad and thinking you're a loser, that's not gonna be really fun. But if I go to a race like Tony just went to a race this weekend and didn't finish, but then they hung out and cheered for their friends and shared the experience. I mean,
had a fun trip.
I had some great shared experiences in races I didn't finish. I don't think that you can do that if you just look at it as, oh, I failed and I might as well go home now. Mm-hmm. So that, I mean, and I guess the other thing I was thinking about when Cory was talking is you don't just go run a 50 and figure it out. I think over years and years and time of running, you start to figure out certain things. Like, I can tell you right now, I know how to run a 50K. I pretty much know how to run a 50-miler. Like, I can't imagine a 50-mile race. I might
something
not
totally unpredictable.
I might not finish or something, but it's like when I go to a 50, I go to a 50 with, I know how to do this. It might really suck, but I'm going to 100 completely different. 100, I mean, it's a whole different ball game because there's a whole other host of shit that can go wrong.
Yeah, 100 you have a whole 30 hours of things that can go wrong on.
Yeah.
And I think I've said it before. For the 50s and under, I can run a 50 and under. The 100K, I can, or the 100 mile, I just want to get through it. It's not. I know I'm not going to be running the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what does he mean by his title, "Run Gently Out There"? What do you guys think?
That's a really good
Just
question.
chill when you're out there.
Yeah.
It's not a real race.
So gently refers to what? Your physical being, your emotional being?
I think gently refers to how you treat yourself. I think that he's not, although he's fast, I don't get the impression that he's redlining and freaking out about what place he's in and trying really hard to dominate the field or anything like that. I think run gently. You know what I think it is? I think it's take what the day gives you and have serenity about it. Not, if there's he comes to a part in the path where there's a big river or a big overflow and he has to go through the water and he's like, well, that's just what we're going to do. We're just going to go through the water. And I think that's one of the keys to being good at ultra running or running 50s or 100s is when your MP3 player takes a shit on you or you have chafage in your butt or you get a blister on your toe. You just say, well, this is what the day has given me, and I'm going to make the best of it, and you don't let one thing or two things bring you. I mean, I think he actually talks about that in here too, that like if you have a problem, you have to ask yourself, is this is this something to be concerned about, or is this something that I should continue on running,
And he sure notices everything too. He notices the animals around, and he stops and picks berries and eats them, and it's pretty cool.
It's a really good book.
Can I say one thing? This is the piece of advice that I just love the most from this book. So he does here and there share advice, although he's definitely making it clear that this isn't like a how-to book. But he's talking about when you're having problems during a race. And he says, if someone says, hot out here, eh? Just nod. Don't open your mouth unless you can counter it with, yeah, but doesn't the breeze feel good? And I just thought that was such a cool way of describing how to get through problems. Maybe that answers the question that one of the listeners had earlier, that you're keeping that positive mindset and you're expecting you're expecting conditions not to be perfect all the time, but having a way to handle it is maybe the key of getting through those 30 hours like Tony's talking about.
He's it sounds like he's the glass is half full kind of a guy, right?
It does sound that way, yeah.
When there's another whole section, page 258, why run on trails versus running on roads, and he just lists, seeing the stars at 11,000 feet at 1 o'clock in the morning on the Colorado Trail.
I've been there, and I can vouch for that.
Watching a frosty meadow become a field of diamonds and rainbows when the sun comes up on the meadow on a winter's pre-dawn outing on the trail. I mean, there's just like a list of really awesome things. Seeing an Alice in Wonderland sort of caterpillar while out on the trail, and they're all just like spot on. And you know what else? They're all things that if you're in a frickin' hurry, you're not going to stop and take note of, And when I think about Cory running Leadville by himself, no pacer, no crew last year, I don't know why, but I have this image of him standing still and looking up, because I remember
you just read it at 11,000 feet with my headlamp off, staring up at the stars.
I don't remember who I was with, but I just had this image of Cory standing somewhere, staring at the stars, and just being like, this is so awesome, all by himself, and then continuing on down the trail. That's all I could think about.
That happened.
There might have been some pharmaceutical assistance in what I imagine, but Nope. Anyway, I give it 5 stars. I say everybody should read it. I say this is the book.
I think this should be like,
read.
I mean, forget any of these like practical how-to books. Like, just go run with some people and just go experience it for a few years and you'll learn how to do it. But this is like how to kind of get the mindset and what it's all about. And I think there have been a lot of, or at least it sounds on the internet like there's a lot of crossover athletes coming in from other sports, or 100 is the new marathon or something like that. And in order to help preserve what I think this sort of culture and way of life is about, like, this book really sums it up and is something that everyone who's getting into the sport should read.
Well, and I think it's important for us as stewards of this sport. Like,
one
of the things that I struggled with coming back from Kettle Morraine 100 mile was I wanted to make a post on the internet about people hanging out at the finish line, and I thought, some people are going to get bent out of shape, and at least 3 or 4 people got bent out of shape by it. But what I said is that what I love about ultras is that people grab a pom-pom or a washcloth. They don't go home. We stick around and we support each other. And seeing Tony finish, seeing Julie finish, seeing all these people, all of our friends finish, that was amazing. People don't know that. If we don't tell them, people don't know that. So I think everything that you need to learn about ultra running is in this book. And I think anybody that's serious about being in the sport should read this book.
And I don't want us to make it sound like he's only talking about people who want to just hang out and look at the stars. He's talking about
he's got
racing
some course records.
too. Yeah,
he's a fast guy. He'll tell you his splits from a race in 1986.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually talks about particular splits in races in the book too.
Right.
He'll talk about this mile was this and that. I mean, but he doesn't do it in a douchey, judgmental, ego-driven way. He does it in these are the observations of a person that spends a lot of time running about his own performance, and it's not measuring himself to anyone else, except his wife. That one race where he says he won and she came in last.
But then he says, or you could look at it that he came in second to last.
Yeah. Or we could all make go out and run this Lake Riz race someday too. Cause
that sounds cool.
I love Seattle. It's beautiful.
He likes Lake Riz.
So what are we going to do next after this? Do we want to do a book? Do we want to do a podcast? Do we want to do a movie?
I was thinking it'd be interesting to go like the other end of the running book spectrum and do like an Elite's how-to guide. Nope. Crickets.
I'm not that into it. Cat. We can't ask Aaron because he's not going to read anything.
Yeah.
You know what I thought about is that John Morelock posted on his Facebook page a book by Jennifer Farr Davis.
Oh, that's a good
called
idea.
Becoming Odessa. and he was comparing it to the Scott Jurek effort to break the fastest known time on the Appalachian Trail. This is a book about her experiences on the Appalachian Trail, and he says there's no commercialism, no, hype, no nothing. It's just
no Cliff Bar headband and every
it's
picture.
a woman's relationship with the trail. And Jennifer Farr Davis is an extremely interesting person. I don't know if you know anything about her.
No.
But she has the record for the fastest known time on the Appalachian Trail. And I would say she's more of a fast packer than she's got some ultra running finishes for sure, but she's never been an elite, super famous ultra runner. She's just a really nice lady. I'm friends with her on Facebook. So I was thinking maybe Becoming Odessa. That could be our next book.
I'm down with that.
For July 21st.
Okay.
Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
All right. Corey?
I'll do a
Is
better
there an
job
audible?
of
I've got about 90
hours.
hours of
I
running.
don't know if there's an audible. But that's the only thing that really sucked is that I started pushing it at the end to try to get it read. I had a lot more fun reading this book before I was like, oh shit, we're going to be
Before you were
interviewing
pressured, yeah.
But
But it's also the kind of thing that you can I had already read it a while ago, and then just preparing for the show, there's nothing bad about going back to it and just reading a few passages or.
Yeah, and for listeners who haven't picked it up yet, it's the way it's broken up is in all these little different segments, and they can switch from one to the next. They might not even seem like they were related, so it's kind of fun. You just have 2-page or even a half a page little segment to read on his different musings and thoughts about ultra running, trail running.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was our first book club. I hope you guys joined, and next we'll do the Becoming Odessa. And let's go to the Facebook page, and we asked people if they had any questions. And although I didn't put them in the little pieces of paper to put in the hat, let's call them, you don't like that? You want them in the hat?
It's okay.
Cat's pissed.
For today.
She wants them. Jake Chabaron writes, would you prefer using miles or kilometers to think about running? Trying to leave out the trying to leave out the bias of being American. I didn't totally hear what you said, Aaron.
Just said that's stupid. We use miles.
Well,
Is
there a benefit to using kilometers?
If you used K, what would it be? What would the races be? What would be the max distance for if you used K? 200 K?
200, I guess.
So that's a 150-mile race, 160?
Yeah.
I wish we used kilometers.
Why?
I get so confused with... it just seems like if we were like the rest of the world and used kilometers, it would make things easier.
Is this because you used to sprint? And so you have like a 400, 800 sort of frame of reference?
No.
Just in general?
I did a race that was in kilometers, other than obviously 5K, 10K,
right, at
but
Comrades.
Comrades was 84K, something like that.
And you were all confused, right?
I was totally confused.
So
I had no idea where I was.
So that's why I'm saying I wish we used kilometers here so we weren't confused when presented with kilometers.
We do 50Ks and 100Ks all the time.
But you do a 50K and then they divide it up by miles. That makes no sense.
Well, a lot of our races didn't even divide up.
Because we're not Canadian and we're not stupid.
So the only people that use kilometers are Canadian people and stupid people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
We just use miles here.
I agree with whoever the guy is that maybe we should be using kilometers.
No.
Corey?
I don't really feel strongly either way.
Tony, you were born in Italy. You were born under the metric system.
Yeah, but I came to America, and they tried to use the metric system, and it failed.
So you had some
We're a
shaming?
melting pot here in America. That's why we use miles.
So I would stay with miles because that's what we measure everything from.
All right.
It's very easy.
Is there something easier about because sometimes late in a race I'm trying to calculate how much time is left in the race or how many miles are left. Would that be easier if it was kilometers? It's like a better minute to.
Wouldn't it be harder because you
ratio.
got more of them in order?
I would think so.
How fast is a good kilometer?
Yeah, nobody knows.
0.6 of a mile, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
everybody's
3
looking at each
minutes, 2 minutes and 42 seconds is a good.
So then,
K?
What's the fastest K ever run?
So then, late in the race, you got to think about. I don't have. I'm at mile 90. I got another 60 kilometers left, or 40 kilometers
Yeah,
left.
but like when you're running the
Next thing
50...
next thing you know, you're thinking in kilometers and you're thinking about your drachmas in Greece, Bad things.
They're in the Euro for now.
All I remember is being at the Comrades, and they have different medals for different times. So if you're under 11 hours, you get a certain medal. If you're over 11 hours, you get another medal. And I remember I was running, and it was like 10 and a half hours, and I had like 7 kilometers, or I don't even know, but it was like 11 kilometers to go or something. And I just started to do the math in my head, and I was just like, fuck it, I'll take whatever medal they give me, because it's just too complicated.
Too confusing.
And I was 11:05, so I missed it by 5 minutes.
I ran several marathons in Europe, and they were in kilometers.
Is that like a 40K or something?
42?
42.8.
See, we all know it's 42K.
42.1.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole time you just have no idea where the fuck you are.
So nobody likes the metric system, basically.
I do.
Yeah.
Except
Cat
Cat.
does.
Cat likes the metric.
And I'm
system.
impartial. I mean,
If
somebody gives me a good reason.
if I had a chart in front of me that I knew how to broke it down,
Yeah.
then okay. But
Grams or kilograms?
What's it?
All right. Brian Smock wants to know, when you run, what is on your mind to get you through the tough times?
For Scotty, it's how many miles are in a kilometer.
How do you get through the tough times? Cat?
Oh, I just focus on the task. I don't a lot of people have those little phrases that they say and different
Mantra?
things. Yeah, I don't have that. I just whatever's bothering me, I just try to I guess I kind of focus on what it is and try to get rid of it. It's nothing special.
I just want to point out that it's really interesting that she struggled to find the word mantra, and she's one of the greatest Scrabble players I've ever played against. I would think that would have just been right on the tip of her tongue. Tony, tough times.
I don't know if it's like that for you guys, but I don't necessarily have a mantra. Whatever. Throughout the whole race, my mind's elsewhere. It's thinking about either work or family situations, and that's my whole race for 20 hours. That's what I'm thinking about.
You're thinking about
Work and or family situations.
And when Tony says he's thinking about work, there's a good chance he's thinking about the coworkers that he has at work that bug him, right?
which is everyone.
It's possible, but I actually think about code while I'm on the trail.
Solving
Computer
computer
code.
problems.
Yeah, but unfortunately, some of it is family situations and life situations. So sometimes, depending on how the race is going, it may not be a good place to go to.
Corey, dark places. What do you do? Corey's playing Scrabble right now. But
I was checking my score against Cat.
I haven't taken my turn yet, I don't think.
yeah, Cat's kicking. ass, too.
I think that my approach is similar to Cat's during the hard times, and I sort of balance that out with like feeling really good when things are going good. Just sort of at the point of just like weeping with joy. Like that usually happens a few times during a race. So I sort of like when it gets really hard, I just know that other side of it is going to happen too. And then just kind of like put my head down and get through it with. I don't really like think back to a uplifting story or anything like that, or it's just sort of like just really basic. Just put one foot in front of the next foot and keep moving, and then it's going to feel good at some point again too, even if that's not until the finish line.
You should put it on a t-shirt or something, Cory. Quick and snappy.
It'd be a long paragraph.
I was caught on the part where he said sometimes he weeps with joy. Is weeping different than crying?
I guess
It's a great
crying
Scrabble
would be,
word, though.
yeah.
P and a W.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hey, can I ask a question since you hit on that?
Yeah.
Do you feel you have to look away sometimes?
Look away from what?
No, because if you're going to the finish and it was a struggle finish, you don't want to show your face because of you're kind of raw a little bit.
I'm okay with that. I think.
Isn't that a song? Look away,
I don't know.
baby, look away.
Oh, yes, it is.
You know what I'm talking about.
I'm not going to sing it, but,
No,
I'm
no.
an 80s child.
Aaron, do you know that song?
No, Tony would know it though.
Don't know it.
Generation.
We're the 80s. Scott and I are the 80s.
I'm the 80s too. What
I'm
are you
80s.
talking about?
I'm 80s, but
I think it's like a Peter
Listen to
Cetera
Christian
song.
music.
Or Chicago?
Yeah, I'm okay with crossing the finish line, weeping, or crying, depending on what you want to call it. Weeping sounds better than crying.
Yes, it's dramatic.
I like to turn off my brain. I mean, that's my whole process. That's why I'm filling with podcasts and books and music. And I mean, that's what I love about running is I put in the music and for that period of time, I'm not thinking about my job or my family or, I'm just like enjoying. I'm in the moment.
That's my off time. I mean, even though I'm thinking about work, that's not work. You know what I mean? Because I used to have a MP3 player, but it was only on for background noise.
Sometimes it's just background noise.
Yeah.
But I mean, an awful lot of times, like right now, I just started this thing with the Rolling Stone top 500 albums of all time again, where I'm going to just listen to the album while I'm running, and then I put it in the name of the run on the Strava. And for me, it's just like awesome to lose myself in the music or lose myself in an interview on a podcast or something like that.
And I think one of the things that is important in these super long races is to not start thinking about why you should give up or why you should quit. You're going through tough times, but you don't use those as sort of outlets for leaving the race.
I like what Scotty and I are never allowed to talk about is food when we're running together.
We used to have a rule that you couldn't talk about until
Why?
you were almost done. Because you don't want to be thinking pizza at mile 2 of 20, Yeah. You don't bring that up until close to the end. The next person was, what are the best books you have read about ultra running?
By the way, you didn't ask me what I thought about during running. That's fine. We can keep moving.
I thought that you thought about food.
No.
What do you think about Aaron?
Aaron, tell us your hopes and dreams.
Mostly just like the tight butts in front of me from the ladies.
So you're looking at the
Mostly what I
ladies.
focus on.
Nice. That's it?
No, because in a marathon, you don't have time to think about anything. You're just thinking about the next split, the next mile. Get to mile 17, get to mile 20. If you can get to mile 22, you're home free. Things like that.
Yeah.
But, it's short. You guys that do 35 hours of running, I would drive myself insane. I mean, can you imagine Tony running in 1982, doing a 30-mile race with like a Sony Walkman, playing the same 25-minute tape
With
over
the
and
tape
over
player,
again?
right? Yet you had to flip over.
Well, you're going to find out when you do your Leadville. I mean, you're not going to... I mean, even if you break the record, it's going to be 14, 15 hours of running, Aaron.
I know. I was thinking the other day, I'm like, I can't run with an MP3 player for more than like 3 hours.
Why not?
It's too much.
Oh.
So I don't know what I'm going to do.
You don't need anything. I've done all my 100-milers without anything.
Nothing at all the whole time?
Yeah. I always bring the iPod, and I never put it on.
I do about half and half.
For the last, all the races that I did so far, I didn't use it. Even though I had it with me, I didn't use it.
Same thing.
Yeah,
That's
Arun
weird.
did the same thing at Kettle. He had it, and then he didn't.
Every single race.
Yeah, I have my headphones on the whole time, but the music's only maybe 58%.
I might turn it off if I'm next to you, like if we start talking, but...
And my MP3 player lasts 20 hours, so there's no reason there's no reason that I shouldn't use it, but I just don't. I
do
haven't.
the iPhone. I put it on airplane mode. It lasts the entire race, no matter how long it is. All right, next question. What are the best books you read about ultra running? We kind of covered that. I'm going to say Run Gently Out There by John Morelock was the best book I've ever read.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I can't think of the name of the one, but it's the guy that was a drug addict and
Finding Ultra, Rich Roll.
Rich Roll, yeah.
Bro. Yeah, we'll have to do his podcast sometime. It's pretty cool. Cory?
Oh, I think Run Gently Out There was pretty good. What was the one that was like a bunch of different stories of people who were just shorter stories running through the wall or something? Is that it?
Relentless forward running?
No, Relentless Forward Power Race. Not that one. That's good too. That was like a...
He doesn't like anything Brian Powell related. He stands with the Mobius coffee shop.
Yeah, I read that one, and I also read the Born to Run book. The Born to Run book was more like a story for me. The Relentless Forward Progress is more like what he does in his races.
All right. Katie Paul French, who was the female winner of the beer mile we participated in this weekend, which we never even talked about.
Nice job.
Where to stash toilet paper if the aid stations are too far apart? This is going to be an Aaron question. Or can broken, wintry Chicago sidewalks stand in for trail training? Okay, so first one, Aaron, where do you store toilet paper if the aid stations are too far apart?
I always keep, even when I'm running here in Boulder, I keep toilet paper in a Ziploc bag in my camel bag.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
What if you don't have a Camelback?
Now, out here in Colorado, I've discovered this plant called lamb's ear. You guys ever heard of this?
Yes, because you've told us about it.
Okay. That's like natural growing everywhere toilet paper. We should package it. We should sell it. It's or to all the organic green people.
So does that mean that you're not using the toilet paper anymore?
I still bring it, but that's like a nice backup. And maybe I'll try that tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll let you guys know. I'll let you guys know in 2 weeks how that works. That'll be my homework. Lamb's ear.
And can you use the Chicago sidewalks instead of trail training?
No, it's stupid.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say my friend Matt Menaker, who's going to be our next guest, I believe, he just went out and finished the Western States 100 after finishing the Old Dominion 100. And he runs on the treadmill and the lakefront. And that's it.
Yeah.
He doesn't go to the trails ever. He did the Hurt 100. He did the Sawtooth 100.
If that's all you got, that's all you got. You got to make the most of it, I think.
Yeah. Anybody else have thoughts?
Just being out here for like 2 weeks and running on the trails out here.
Well,
like massively humbled by how athletic and fast and the rest of the ultra running world is, or at least out here.
But you're not running with
nothing
just.
that compares to the trails here, like in Chicago. Doesn't matter what you do.
I mean, I think you can. Clearly, you can finish a trail race, having run just on the sidewalks, but it must make you think, how much better would you be if you trained on some of the same terrain that you race on?
Mm-hmm. And Aaron, you're not just running with ultra runners, right? Some of these people are just, that's their run, their 5 mile run, right?
Or you think a couple of them.
Oh, they're mostly all ultra?
Yeah, I mean, like there's 3 or 4 guys when I ran down the backside, going downhill, and they were flying down, and they just do probably 30, 40 miles a week, but it's all trails.
Yeah.
But they're
just like shocked. I'm just shocked at how everybody can just bang down these things and bang up them, and it's like it's nothing. It's just like it's like super humbling.
But they can just be trail runners, not necessarily ultra trail runners, right?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to a bunch of them at Rubber Beers and stuff last night. They all do 50 milers, 100 milers. Yeah.
Katie also says, "P.S. This podcast is awesome, even if people give me the side eye for cracking up on the LFT."
Lakefront Trail.
Oh, Lakefront Trail. Okay.
Hey, just to add, what Aaron said about carrying tissue, I don't know if it's a secret or something, but if you carry wet wipes in a Ziploc, a lot better than tissue paper.
Wet wipes. Do you do wet wipes, Aaron?
No.
It's something I discovered 5 years ago.
Then you gotta buy that's like a separate thing you're buying at the store.
But you know who?
Just buy adult diapers.
You know who sells them? Two Toms. They have individual packs. We're gonna hand them out today in the podcast too. I have a whole thing of swag that was given to us. We also got a trucker hat from Candace Burt, Destination Trail, who's gonna be running with Cory at the Colorado 200 in 2 weeks.
If that race happens.
So we have a whole bunch of great products. We got laundry products.
What?
We've got.
What do you mean, if that race happens?
For you or for the race in general?
In general. They haven't published the runner's guide yet, and it's like 13 days out.
Ooh,
and
there's only
there's only 25
DNS,
out of 100 expected
DNS
people.
that's
Yeah, the race
against
itself
your
is
will.
DNSing.
Wow.
I think it's all going to work out. They're planning on doing it. But like they sent an email this week saying, hey, I think we're going to change the start time. But then that means they have to change all the aid station times and the cutoff times. And it's just, I don't know.
So this is just your fear talking.
It's my fear talking.
No one's mentioned that the race
No.
is being canceled.
No.
But
You know, Cory, when we ran the Bear last year, we didn't get a single bit of correspondence leading up to it.
Not one.
That's good. That's encouraging.
We went to packet pickup, and our packets were all on the ground. Go pick them up. That was it. Nobody
That's why it's
told
called
us.
packet pickup.
Yeah. So maybe it's just,
All right.
You'll
more
be
down the line.
fine.
My only concern is navigating the course. Really. That's the only info I need.
Yeah, you're gonna. Did they put instructions up there?
There's 3 pages of line by line, like in 0.2 miles, turn right onto this trail, and then 0.6 miles after that, turn left onto this trail. And there's like no
That
way
sounds
you
pretty
could.
easy.
Yeah.
I would
mean, it's
just
literally
print it
3
out
pages.
anyway, though.
Yeah, I'm going
Do you
to.
think it'd be worse to have your wife next to you driving in a car?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't
like
think you can't even drive there.
You can't. They're not ATV roads or ATV drivable
No,
roads.
no, a lot of them are just trails. It's not like an easy kind of wide trail to follow.
God, That sounds like somebody who's never run a race before.
Did they say that they're going to market real well?
It's also the first year of the race. Too.
Right. That's the other concern too.
That's
Yeah.
tough.
I mean, by the time you get your volunteers and you actually send them out there to mark your 200-mile course that has no repeating segments, it's not a loop in any way the first time.
Wow.
Like, are you? I mean, think about there's one intersection at Kettle that year after year or Ice Age that people can get lost at, and that's just one of them. There's some similar intersections like that.
I'm surprised since they don't have so few people running. They don't have like a walkie-talkie kind of a.
They have everyone has to have a spot thing, but that doesn't help you.
Are you taking my
trying to
spot
navigate.
thing?
No, it's part of the
they
race.
give it to you.
But that doesn't help you navigating. It just helps you.
You know,
if you get
navigating.
lost.
That brings up a good question, and this was on the DFL Ultra Running podcast. I just want to hear what you guys think because I had a very strong reaction to it. They had a race in Australia, North Face 100K, I think it was, and the leaders. There was a section of the race that was a 2-mile out and back, and the guys that were in the lead were improperly told by the course marshal to skip that part.
Yeah.
So they didn't do the 2-mile out and back. They just kept going.
So they skipped 4 miles.
2 miles.
Okay.
And so they're in the lead, and they're also now they haven't done 2 miles, and the guys behind them are going to have to do it. And they found out about it such that they couldn't just have them go back and do the 2-mile out and back. So what they did is they held the leaders at the aid station for 15 minutes.
That's really weird.
And
That's messed
then
up.
they let them go, and it was Dylan Bauman. He ends up winning the race. So they ended up they did 48 miles with a 15-minute break, or 60 miles with a 15-minute break, rather than 62 miles.
And those guys won the race.
They won the race. They got the prize money and everything.
Yeah,
Well,
see,
they rested.
The tricky part, though, is that the course official told them to do that.
The course official screwed up,
where it gets
and then the race director evidently is put in a bad situation because it's like, well, what do we do?
Well, let me ask you this: at that DPRT last year, I ran that.
That's the Des Plaines River Trail 50-mile race here in Illinois.
Sorry, we know one of the guys who was volunteering. He was standing right next to a sign that said "Turn around," and he kept telling us, "Keep going, keep going." So a whole bunch of us, maybe 50 of us, kept going, and we ended up going a full extra mile, whereas the other people just turned around right there. My end race was 51 miles, but it's still going to say 50, and my time is based on the time I finished. They're not going to subtract that time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had an issue at mile 39. Maybe if I didn't go that extra mile then, it would have been different for me because I would have been 1 mile short as opposed to whatever. So I don't know.
Well, what do you think with this race? What should have happened?
Those two guys, they were following the course marshal. I understand, but somehow I think they got a free pass.
So what do you do if you're in charge?
I think that you don't count the win. I mean,
Would it be a win with an asterisk?
Yeah, so it's like a win with an
my
asterisk.
strong feeling was they didn't run the whole course.
Yeah.
They don't win. You know, they're DNF.
Yeah. And it's going back to my thing with Colorado, like, even though it is an inaugural race, it's up to me to understand what that course is and to know it. And if I'm not going to be like, oh, it's an inaugural race, like they fucked it up. Like, that's up to me to know the course. That's part of what you're signing up for. And if I skip a section of that, that's my fault. If they skipped a section of this,
I mean, if the course marshal would have screwed up and made those guys run an extra mile, they wouldn't have told the other people that they could, skip something. They would have, you have to do the whole course, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point because at the Black Hills, there were a lot of people who got. I think there was a section of maybe 8 runners who went off and did an extra 4 miles because they didn't see a marking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all those people ended up having to come back and continue on the course.
Right.
And they weren't bitching about, hey, I ran 4 extra miles, I should get extra credit.
Well, I'm sure they were bitching.
They were bitching. Our friend that was off course by 4 miles.
Yeah. But I mean, again, it's your job to know the course. And you know what I always say to the guy who gets off course is, there's a whole bunch of people that didn't get off course.
Yeah.
I mean, what did they do that you didn't do? It's not like aliens came and took the course markers for your part and they left, they left it there for their, I mean, I don't know.
Did they know that they skipped those 2 miles initially before they finished the race?
Well, at some point they must have because he said
DRDs. Oh, DRDs.
You know what? It just occurred to me at Silamo there was a lot of mix-ups. I
remember that
with one of the which day was it where people were going in the wrong
second day
on the 50 miler, and so there were people who all of a sudden you saw people running towards you, and you're thinking, wait a second, you're going in the wrong direction. Well, they realized they were off course, but they wanted to get 50 miles in anyway. And so when the results were posted, they didn't give those people, they were actually some of the fastest people in the race. They didn't give them the win.
Yeah.
But they posted it on the bottom of the sheet, and they said alternate 50-mile course, and they still had their times down. And it's like they counted as running the race, but they weren't going to get the win if you don't run the race.
Yeah.
I thought that was, and they seemed fine with the solution too.
Same for this Australia thing. I mean, if you ran the right course and you got the fastest time running the right course, then you win.
That's the guy that wins. I mean, but then the other thing that came up was this Rob Carr thing from Leadville.
Oh yeah.
Because remember he ran more distance. He ran slightly different. But he didn't run exactly the course.
Oh.
And when he left the course, he didn't come back to where he left and then resume. So he didn't run the actual course.
Right.
He didn't get an advantage of it. It didn't make him any faster. It didn't give him, but then he still won the race. And I guess
that one should be the same deal, I think.
I'm a bright line guy. I would say if you don't run the whole course,
That's a DQ, right?
you shouldn't win. I've always thought that if, like in my
because
mind,
another way you could look at that is you're going off course and you realize you're going off course, and then you just I've gone extra, but I'm just going to get back on as quick as I can in the shortest way that I can, and I'm not going to backtrack. And that.
But my thinking, anytime I've been off course, my first thought is figure out where I got off and get right back to that spot before I get back on. That's the rule, right?
Yeah, that's the rule.
It might not be the rule of the race that you're in, but
yeah. Plus, it's weird. The two guys that won, their time's got to be way off because they didn't run the extra 2 miles.
Yeah, but they had to wait 15 minutes.
Yeah, but that's 15 minutes in a trail race is not necessarily.
And it's 15 minutes of resting, not 15 minutes of running.
I don't know that the number is 2 miles and 15 minutes, but But so they ran
short
2 miles or X miles less, and they took a 15-minute break in the middle. I mean, if I would always take a 15-minute break over running more miles in a race. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
But I just thought that was an interesting subject.
So are there people who are on the other side of this camp on the internet who are like,
what's
no,
the
it
race
should count?
director supposed to do? These guys flew to friggin' Australia. I mean,
What's the difference?
It's their guy screwed up.
Is there like a fine print in the rules that says if you fly in from more than X number of miles away,
their shoes.
You can
what if I'm at the race and someone from that race with an official flag tells me what to do and I do it and then I get penalized?
That part's weird.
That's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, that's how I felt at the Des Plaines race, even though I was from Chicago.
Yeah.
He made us go an extra mile. Yeah.
Well, actually, the same thing happened to me at that Paleozoic the first time. Somebody told us to go the wrong way.
That was a shit.
I mean, they just literally. This is the same thing. They said go the wrong way, and then nobody's time's
I was
counted.
I was like the only person in that entire race that did the whole course.
Did
I'm not
you
even
know
kidding.
you were doing it on purpose?
Yeah, because I went there in advance and I put it in my
and
I put it in my but I didn't get rewarded for it. If I was the only one, it was me and this one other guy, and there was no one else running where we were because no one else seemed to know the course. But we looked at it in advance and put it into our watches.
So you ran the full course.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, you're the winner in my books.
You're the winner in my book. How are we doing on time?
I don't know where we're at. Beep. Aaron, are you with us?
No.
We lost Aaron.
He fell asleep.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just not interested about.
You're just not interested. Nice.
I don't run races where people get locked, so I don't really understand.
Yet.
Aaron, didn't you cut
Or
a course
do you?
once in a race and get disqualified?
I did cut a course one time, and the guy that it affected, I told him, I actually went to the race director and told her that the one guy behind me should have placed better than me, but she didn't do anything about it. So.
That's weird.
It was like 7th place versus 6th place or something.
Huh.
No, they didn't care because it wasn't first
I
and
think
second.
it was like 0.2 of a mile and a half marathon.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the other thing, right? If you're coming in 37th place out of 50, who gives a shit,
Yeah. This was like 7th place or out of like 500 or something.
Well, I mean, you were on the extended podium, so.
Yeah. It affected one person, though. I looked at the results, and I'm like, I told the lady, I'm like,
Well, that's nice of you.
that guy should be ahead of me or something, and here's my medal. I'm DQ'd. I didn't do the race right. And she goes, okay, whatever.
Good job, son.
Huh.
Nice work. All right, let's see what else people have been saying. There's a lot of people had a lot of comments here. What factors to consider when selecting your first ultra, your first attempt at a given distance? That's a tough one.
Yeah, I think that's a matter of personal preference. I mean, if you can just start with, do you like running on flat terrain or roads or trails?
Well, there's financial, there's geographic.
Well, for the distance, I think that should be a no-brainer. You know if you can run 50 miles versus 100 miles. I mean, if you've been doing 5 and 10 mile runs, all week, maybe running a 100 mile might not be the next thing for you.
Are you wrestling a dog, Aaron?
Chopping something.
What are you doing, Aaron?
Sorry.
What was that? Are you chopping wood?
No, I'm starting the grill. Sorry.
Oh, he's scraping
Starting
the grill.
grill.
Wow.
Oh my god.
What is the funniest thing you have seen on a run? Racine asks.
Oh, how about the peeing turtle?
Oh yeah, she picked up a turtle because we saw it on the trail at Kettle, and it was peeing. First time I saw that.
It was funny. Yeah. We picked it up, turned it over, and then the pee just shot straight up into the air, and so then that led us to an interesting conversation. One of those what if conversations where okay, if you're in a survival situation,
would you drink a turtle's pee?
would you? No. Well, yeah, that's kind of it. But so you're in a survival situation, Cory, and you have a choice between drinking a cup of your own urine or the turtle's urine.
I'm going turtle urine.
Really?
The turtle.
I'm never going turtle urine.
The turtle
You're
urine
drinking
was
your own pee before turtle pee?
Yes.
I
Why?
think so.
the turtle urine was clear.
Was clear as
crystal
water.
clear.
Did you know that, Aaron, going into
sometimes.
this? That the turtle
Don't
urine?
care.
Still drinking your own urine.
Okay.
I
Cory?
mean, what's his name? Guy, whatever, on that show does it every week, right?
Guy Fieri?
What?
He drinks turtle pee every week?
No, the Man versus Wild.
Bear Grylls?
Bear Grylls. Oh, his name's not Guy?
Guy Fieri's the Food Channel
He
guy.
never said Fieri. You added that.
Well, he's a guy, so I thought
It's a
guy.
Guy, yeah.
I'm going to go with, I don't know. I guess my own urine because it seems like my body would have done this. But it's waste, though. But it seems like a turtle isn't processing its waste in the same way that a human would, so it might be more dangerous.
So Cory's gonna die of dehydration while he's analyzing.
Plus, I gotta think. I know you keep saying that urine is
Sterile.
but late in the race, when it gets non-clear, I'm thinking that's the last thing I want.
Whoa. So your urine is cloudy. Turtle urine is clear.
The turtle urine was crystal clear when we saw it. When we saw it pee, I was like, wow, that's almost like straight water coming out.
So your answer is you're going to check your own urine, see how cloudy
No,
it is?
my answer is going to be I'd go with the turtle because knowing me, especially late in the race, it's not clear. It's not crystal clear like that.
Cat.
Oh, turtle.
Turtle urine.
Yeah. For the same reason as Tony.
Yeah.
See, now that's a great question. Oh, but the funniest thing you saw on a run. I'm going dead body. I'm at 2.
Funny.
I got
How's
2.
that funny?
That's weird.
Well, I went with funny as in unusual.
Oh, all right.
Me and Aaron have an ongoing tally, dead body count.
Competition?
He's got
Yeah,
3.
body count.
I got 2.
Oh, I can tell you. It's
Are
scared
we
the-
back? You're telling me the funniest thing now, or are we on my dead bodies?
I was going to tell you a funny, not funny, but weird thing I saw.
Okay.
It happened at Black Hills this weekend. It scared the crap out of me when I saw it. It was a rattlesnake. It was
Oh.
I was running on the single track trail, and there was a log next to me, and the rattlesnake was on top of it. And as I'm running next to it, I hear the rattle part. I look over, I'm like, crap, and it jumped into the grass, and I jumped 5 feet the other way too.
You're gonna be worried about rattlesnakes. That's bad stuff.
Yeah, and I can't remember how far off the last aid station we were.
Quick, around the room. Rattlesnake pee or human pee? Cat?
Rattlesnake.
Tony?
It's gonna kill me by biting first, right? How am I gonna?
No, you get it's a freebie. You just get
It's
the
just
pee.
a cup of pee sitting there. It's already been.
All right,
There's 2 cups. One of them is yours. And
Rattlesnake
one of
or
them is the
who?
rattlesnake.
Human. Yours.
still rattlesnake.
Corey?
I don't know. I feel peer pressured into saying rattlesnake.
No, you have to be true to yourself.
I'd rather drink Scotty's pee.
No, that's not an option. It's your pee or rattlesnake pee.
Wow.
No, Scotty's.
I'm going rattlesnake. Cory.
Yeah, rattlesnake makes sense here.
All right. Funniest thing you've seen. Any funny things you've seen on runs, Aaron?
I mean, sure there is. I don't know. Today on my run, I was terrified of seeing a mountain lion.
Terrified ever did see a mountain lion?
Terrified. I was like super jumpy. You know, like there's like these little, what do you call them?
Marmots
everywhere, and they kind of run out in front of you. And I kept thinking it was a mountain lion.
Those are marmots.
Yeah. So I was pretty scared of that today.
Are we counting hallucinations in this?
Oh, we should count
It's
that.
like super quiet. There's nobody out there. You're on your own. It's like cloudy with the storm coming in.
Dude, it's Sawtooth, 37 hours. I saw so much stuff.
It's called the Lion Slayer Trail, so there's supposed to be some mountain lions that live out there. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, so sometimes it's reading the material before you get to the race. Because,
Are we back on the getting lost thing?
no,
Okay, just making sure.
sorry.
It's okay, we can jump around.
Sorry, I'm going back to the Black Hills because that's so recent. Reading the material telling you that there would be kind of wildlife out there.
Yeah.
I kept expecting to see either a mountain lion coming at me or seeing a cub on the trail. And as soon as the cub would be there, the mom bear would be there.
Aw.
Yeah, the AC100 guide has a lot of that, Scott. Have you read the whole
God, me and Kat have been looking at pictures from the AC100
It's all
of
just
bears on the
like-
trail.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
nothing but bears on the trail. That's gonna be awesome. But Kat already promised me that if I get to her, she's gonna take care of all the bears before I get to them.
I protect him.
She's on bear patrol.
I got a bear bell for Colorado 200. What do you think of that?
Yeah,
Am I overdoing it?
How
No,
loud
I
is
think
it?
that makes sense.
Are you going to get annoyed with it? You
has
hearing it yourself?
It has like a magnet, so if I just start to think about it at night, I'll turn it on, and I'll probably never even turn it on. So you can easily turn it on and off.
Oh, it's an electronic thing?
No, it just has a magnet, so it holds a little.
Oh,
whatever
the
you
ringer
call it.
thing?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I think it's fine.
and I got some bear spray too.
Do you have some bear spray?
I did get bear spray too.
Bear pee or human pee?
It's always the animal is always going to win.
So,
Humans eat too
people
much
are in
crap.
so people that are in the animal camp are always going to pick the animal. People in the human.
I
and
think
Aaron's
so.
always going to pick my pee. Probably because he knows I'm hydrated. All right.
The key is to make sure that you're massively hydrated, Scotty, and then it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're massively hydrated, your own pee is always going to win, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the impressive thing about the turtle was his hydration level, wasn't it?
Yes.
His pee was
Yeah.
clear. That's the
Yeah.
first thing you said.
Yeah.
Me and Aaron have missed a couple dead bodies this year too.
Yeah.
I always send him
There's
the.
always like 3 or 4 out there.
I send it for the Tribune picture. I'll be like, the one that got away, because like even one day me and Tony went running at lunch, and I got back. I sit down my desk. I pull up the thing, Chicago Tribune. Person pulled out of the water at Navy Pier, right where we had run. And it was just like, because understand in the
You've
dead,
got a creepy smile on your face while you're saying this.
me and Aaron are really into this. It's very competitive to see who can see the most dead bodies. But you don't actually have to like discover the body in the water. You just have to see the body bag.
There was one that I actually discovered.
No.
It was like 4:35 a.m. out there up by North Avenue on the beach.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was it a homeless person or was it somebody actually out there running or whatever?
It was 2 guys that looked like they were just partying all night, but the one guy was like really passed out awkwardly. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like you didn't think he was sleeping in the sand there, you know? And then on the loop back, his buddy was up on the phone, and like the guy who blows the sand off the path was like on the phone, and then a couple hours later you read about it in the paper. Yeah.
So you want to see something really creepy? There's someone named
I don't want to.
Don Pendergraft writes on the Facebook page. His question: find out who was DFL after tomorrow's Western States and interview them.
Well, that's
Oh.
going to be impossible.
Well, we all know the answer.
Yeah, well, this was like the one time that the DFL was a big deal. Aaron,
Yeah,
Aaron
that's
didn't
cool.
see that because you're not on.
It was in
Facebook.
Runner's World. He probably saw it.
Why was it a big deal?
Yeah, there's a whole thing in Runnersville about DFL.
The woman who came in last at Western States, she finished in 29, 59, like 54. 70-year-old woman.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
For
6 seconds to
the oldest finisher ever. But she also went off course for several miles, so she really would have been quite a bit faster.
And Rob Crowder went back and ran the last mile with her.
Oh, that's so cool.
He
She
ran
seemed like
with
a
her.
neat lady.
Yeah.
Where was she from?
Oregon, maybe?
Washington, I think.
Huh?
It seems like
Washington.
Morlock knows her.
On questions here.
There's
I kind of gotta get rolling.
All right. Sorry. There was coverage of her on I Run Far, so
And on Runner's World.
if
It's on
any-
Runner's World today.
Runner's World online.
Yeah,
Oh,
online.
Aaron gets that.
It'll
online
be in
Runner's
print.
World.
Aaron will catch up about it next month.
That's like the first
next
time
month.
Western State's in the news. It's pretty wild.
I bet there'll be an ESPN one about it.
All right. Well, let's talk about what's coming up next. We're back in here when? July? 2 more weeks? Matt Maneker is the
2
next
weeks.
guest.
When is it? When is next? Is it before?
Is it before Crimea River or after?
After Crimea River?
Does maybe July 14th or something?
I'll be
I don't
on
know.
day
I don't
two.
remember
July-
the date.
July
I'm
11th
sorry.
is Crimea River, which
I was
is a
thinking
Saturday.
July 21st, but I could be
Whatever
wrong.
it is, it is.
All right.
I don't know.
Well, it's important that we know because we're going to talk about what we're doing between now and then. So
Yeah, if it's between now and
Oh,
if we're coming back next weekend, that makes a difference.
good point.
It's the 21st is the next time.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And it's going to be Matt. We're going to talk about
Oh.
AC.
I know what I'm doing. I'm going to this Crimea River race with my daughter, and we're going to both run the 5-mile race
That
together.
sounds awesome.
This is the Crimea River race that we talked about with Sean and Jenna.
Yeah, so we're going to do the 5-miler. That'll be her longest race, and plus it's going to be a lot of climbing, so I'm sure it'll be challenging.
I went out there and did trail work. There's going to be plenty of climbing.
Yeah.
Cool. So Zoe's 9, and she's gonna make it through this.
Are you? What's her incentive for doing that? Does she want to do it, or are you like, come on, you should do this?
Oh, I just told her it would be fun, and I signed her up. Oh, and I told her there's a medal.
Is there a medal?
Yeah, I contacted Jenna ahead of time and said, "Is there a medal for the 5-miler?" And when she said yes, I'm like, "Okay, signing her up."
Nice.
Tony, what do you got going on?
Crimea River is my next race, 50 miles.
Nice. Cory?
I have Colorado 200 in 13 days.
Oh my god!
Cory's so screwed.
Oh my god!
How's your training been?
It's been good. I feel
Yeah.
pretty good.
Did you run when you were out in Colorado?
Yeah. Got some miles in.
You have any pacers?
No.
Any crew?
What are you gonna do in terms of like run-walk strategy? Do you have
I have
something,
no
or no?
idea.
You're just gonna start moving.
I think I'm just gonna base it on elevation. There's not a lot of flat sections, so
How far are the aid stations away from each other, roughly?
there's. It seems like 15 to 20 miles for full aid, but then there's water stations in between those.
Okay.
So it's a
Sounds
ways.
so cool.
Getting lost in the back country.
I mean, if you look at the course map, it's like a multiple cloverleaf kind of thing, and there's so many turns and so many details
Wow.
to keep up with.
So it's not just like out and back on the Colorado Trail, out and back on the Continental Divide Trail. It's like really complicated.
Yes.
Oh gosh,
Oh.
Cory.
That's the only part that I'm concerned about. I think I could probably just power.
But you're going to be alone. You're going to have like ultra head. And
I know.
why don't you want a pacer?
Because how do you even organize that? Ooh, can you pace me for
Well,
140
we could
miles?
ask Megan. She would do it.
Maybe.
What about Aaron? He's out there. Aaron, you want to pace
Aaron.
Cory?
Can you pace me for 90 or 120 miles? What?
I've never run that far.
I don't think
gonna
it's gonna be
mostly
running.
hiking.
There ain't going to be much running.
My
going
goal
on.
is to do like a 30-hour 100-miler, and then I'll still have 66 hours to get another 100 in, and I think that'll work.
So you get 100 hours max?
96, yeah.
96, well, that's still...
It's close if you consider like that's 3 nights of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's 4 nights of sleep,
Oh
and you
my
definitely can't sleep for all 4 of those nights. So, because then that would take up like 30 hours of the time.
Do they have runner tracking?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
everyone has a spot. So there's no like, I mean, short of any sort of acute thing happening, there's no risk to my life.
Just
I
make
can
sure
always hit
you
the spot button.
you
but
check out the spot because the one thing with mine is every morning you have to refresh it. Every morning with mine. I don't know what kind you're going to have, but just make sure you get that down because it really irritates people when you have it and they can't track it.
yeah.
Well, all I have is Crimea River, and it's my last big run before the AC taper begins. So I'm excited about that.
I'm kind of bummed I won't be here for Crimea River. It seems like a great race. And I love summertime too.
What?
Oh, we can do that.
What's the matter? No, go ahead. Tell me.
Well,
Oh,
I can edit
we
this
never
part.
had
We
our
didn't do
talk
it.
about the book.
Oh, well, I thought we were talking to the author about the book. We can talk to each other about it too.
We didn't. That was it.
Okay, well we'll do a segment on that too.
Yeah, it was supposed to be
like
a
I thought
book
we were
review.
gonna discuss. We were having a book
Okay,
club.
we'll
we were
do
gonna talk
book
about
club.
the book.
We don't need Aaron
Jesus
for book
Christ.
club. We can dump him.
Am I
Bonus
wrong or
miles.
no?
No, you're totally right.
No, you're right.
I mean, I know it's late, but it feels weird that we didn't talk about the book
Well,
because
it's
we
just weird
told people
because of the order and all that. Too.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
We'll do it.
Okay.
We'll do it.
Wait, is this part getting cut out?
No, edit free. But I'll also add. We'll throw the book club segment at the end, but we'll close out this segment. So I'm going to be training for Cry Me a River, and we have a Facebook page, 10 Junk Miles. We have Twitter at 10 Junk Miles. Also, if you like the show,
Pinterest. We have a Pinterest.
we have Pinterest, LinkedIn,
No, do we really?
Periscope. But if you really like the show and you want to help us out, there's one thing you can do. Just one thing. We don't want your money. We don't need anything. Just go to iTunes and give us a review. 5 stars is the best review, but do the right thing. But give us a review. Because and if you hate me, give us 4. If you want to complain about anything, that's fine too. But the more reviews we get, the more we move up in the ratings, and the more people find the show. So it's really important. If you want to do us a solid, give us a review on iTunes. Anything else? That's it. Thank you, everybody. See you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I would have said, as a matter of fact, that old guy's dick is in my mouth right now.
That would just be disgusting.
Okay, we're good. We're going.
Okay.